So great to have you on the show today, Shelby.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So I'd love to just start with what are chargebacks and what are shortages, and is there a difference?
Yeah, big difference. Chargebacks are non-compliant fees with Amazon. We call this the death by 1,000 cuts here at ChargeGuard. So these are the PO on time accuracy, the ASN accuracy, the no carton package content label. There's over 48 types of chargebacks. And when you think about where these occur, this is really anything having to do with how you prep your product, how you send your product, the ship window, all of those details. That's really specific to the chargebacks. And then shortages, this is the inventory shortage and it's the pricing shortage. And so the one that vendors are most familiar with is that inventory shortage. This is the pain point, right? Amazon puts in a PO, the vendors accept it, they ship it, Amazon takes in that product, Amazon pays the invoice in full, but then they take that massive shortage deduction because they say, okay, vendor didn't ship me the full PO. What the vendors are left to do is scramble and staff up and try to claw back these dollars from Amazon that are rightfully theirs. We do see that more often than not, shortages are erroneous. And the pricing shortages where Amazon pays for a different price than what is actually owed. I say different. I've never seen them pay more. They always pay less in my experience, but difference the key word there.
In terms of those price-driven shortages, is it as common as inventory shortages, or is it sort of far less common?
Yeah, less common for sure, but still a huge problem. Really great recovery opportunity on them because it's typically just a misalignment between Amazon and what they think that they owe. But the inventory shortage is definitely the most common, definitely the biggest pain point for vendors.
There's a lot of financial waste that goes into this whole of shortages and claims. Do you have a sense of how large this issue is, as a whole or for a typical vendor?
So specifically, chargebacks and shortages totaled about $13 billion across those 2 years for vendors.
How visible are these fees? What's the level of transparency that Amazon provides in terms of these charges?
Very, very little, intentionally. Again, the chargebacks, I feel like the visibility is a little bit easier. You don't necessarily have a lack of visibility in Vendor Central to them. You do. It's definitely hard to find them. There's not just a place you can go, show me all my chargebacks, show me the types, but it's definitely easier than the shortages. Shortages are such a nightmare for vendors.
The look back period, what is it? And is it possible?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. And yes, it is. So what we'd say for our look back period is 5 years on the shortages. You don't have a time limit for disputing them. You don't have, the 3 strikes and you're out policy that you do for chargebacks. So we can go back that full 5 years and initiate the disputes without that time sensitive window. For chargebacks, it's different. So chargebacks for the audit, we only show 1 year of the chargebacks, but the main reason is because you only have 30 days to dispute a chargeback. And if you don't, it becomes lost opportunity is what we identify it as.
When you see an audit, what are the most top 3, top 4 common types of chargebacks that you encounter? What's always at the top of the list, and what tends to be the cause of those?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So again, it really does come down to what is the vendor doing specifically, but the leading drivers that I typically see, PO on time accuracy, no question. Another common one that I see is ASN accuracy, and then the third one really varies, but I would say prep or no carton package content label, anything labeling issue related. For sure.
ASN accuracy, what does that mean? Particularly those that are new to the vendor space, what are we talking about?
Yeah, good question. So that's advanced shipment notice. There's so many different ones. That would be invalid or missing ARN, which is a number specific to Amazon. There's a missing expiration date, and that's all on that ASN, that advanced shipment notice. One of the most common ones for ASN accuracy, I believe this is one of the subtypes, is the pro/BOL mismatch. That's a huge one. The expiration dates are a huge one. There's a couple different ones that actually apply to expiration dates.
Down confirmation, what does that mean?
Yeah, so the root cause of down confirmed, it's one of the subtypes of the PO on time accuracy. So this is when the updated confirmed PO quantities after 5 business days into the ship window or delivery window, that's when there's like an inconsistency. And so the penalty of that is 3% the cost of the product, and it's trailing a certain amount of weeks. But that's just, it has to do with the PO quantities, and it has to do with not having the right information within that.
Talk to me a little bit about like that root cause analysis, how you do that, and I'd love to just hear a couple of examples. What are some of the root causes and how you solve them?
So many, for sure. And I wouldn't know any specific examples, but I can tell you an example of how we brought it to life and what I looked at from this case study perspective. But so Yes, you're spot on. A lot of what we do is about recovery, because shortages are going to exist for the near future as long as I can see. So, because again, it's an Amazon error. Whereas chargebacks, like we talked about, more often than not, the vendor's at fault. So we do want vendors to be compliant. The recovery opportunity on chargebacks is smaller than it is on the shortages because of the nature of the fee. So when we get in there, and we know Amazon cares so much about compliance. So when you can get a vendor to a very compliant state, not only are you adding so much value to them and avoiding this cost from ever taking place, but you're also giving yourself so much leverage with Amazon and control, and you're doing things by the book because it's less resources and time on Amazon's side to not have to charge these fees.
We've got a couple of audience questions. For people to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Email is great. It's shelbyo@chargeguard.co. It's not .com, so if you send it, you will get rejected. I always like to say it's catchy. Or you can go directly to our website and you can click book a demo, and that links directly to my calendar. So lots of different ways. I'm also on LinkedIn. I know you tagged me and I think I commented on it. So you can reach out to me anyway. But emails, I'm always checking my email. My email is like my child. So I'm always on that, making sure it's up to date. But however you need to get to me.